Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Freelancers World Podcast. I have another guest today. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Princess Odom, recent college graduate, creative designer, psychology and education enthusiast, educator. Yeah.
You're actually the first person that did a whole last
Oh,
introduction.
sure.
It's usually just like a name, but that's calm.
Mhm.
That's nice. So they know you. So the first thing I ask every new guest is what they value. So what do you value?
My values are definitely education, equity, and honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While education.
Um, Education just being the foundation of everything, of like how we're able to operate, kind of guarantees the quality of life we're able to have, and even particularly our knowledge on what our quality of life should even be. I think education is not only a foundation, but it also is the threshold you can only achieve as far as you can imagine. So I think it's just really important for people to be aware of the past, the present, and that can help really inform the future. So I think education is literally the entirety of our trajectory as a society, how well we are educated, the people that have access to education and the people that don't really determine and shape the world we
Yeah.
live in.
Yeah, that's nice. That's so
Yeah.
solid. The second one was equity.
Yeah. Equity ties back into education. Equity is just um, helping those that are disenfranchised. Equity and equality go hand in hand, but equity again focuses on the fact that there are disproportionate opportunities. So
Yeah.
that means actively going into those spaces where there's lack of opportunity and trying to balance those scales, trying to balance the odds so that material things, don't stop people from being able to access like their talent, their threshold. So
Yeah.
basically, just trying more so to actually make our world a meritocracy where people who want to work hard
Yeah.
and who have the ability to can get ahead rather than all of
Yeah.
the reality where it's very much based on opportunity
Yeah.
costs available.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why equity is a big one.
Yeah. Okay. And then honesty.
Yeah, I think it also again just ties into education. I think honesty in itself can be very subjective, but I think even more so than honesty, truth or truth finding ties into education, where I think a well-educated person is not someone who just knows a lot of things, but knows how to like find truth, is knows how to decipher like mistruths from reality, is able to look at things in context and outside of context, because truth changes depending on where it's placed. So I think honesty is important to me for people who can like speak in context and like
Yeah.
speak with nuance and often speak with like to really just hold the reality of the world we live in, which can be very like nuanced, contradictory, but I think we can still be honest about the world we live in. I think we have to be honest about where we are to know what we want to work
Work with.
towards.
Yeah.
If we're not living in reality, then it's
Yeah.
hard to even build any future
Yeah.
that we
That's
want to
true.
imagine. So I think I really
Yeah.
appreciate people who are just honest about the things that are happening in the
Yeah.
world. And again, in this day and age, there are a lot of people who are trying to spread like purposeful misinformation
Mm.
and disinformation, and that's just the opposite of education. So I think it's the people who are like educators who are ready to be honest with everyone that really help open the eyes of where we are.
Yeah. So education is your biggest value. Like it
Yeah.
is definitely your biggest value, right? So like how did you realize that?
I think I've always just loved learning. I just always wanted to know everything. Kind of.
Yeah.
I've been very curious, and it's just been driven by. I'm really interested to know how things work. I think it always leaves me feeling not more in control all the time, but at least more grounded
Yeah.
and more aware of my power in terms of what I can control and what I can't control.
Mm.
Um, So I started with psychology since I think around 10th grade
Yeah.
is when my passion for psychology, I knew I wanted to pursue that into college. And I'm very lucky that that passion has been sustained all like
Yeah,
throughout
the
my
entire
life.
time,
Yeah,
yeah.
up until this point as well. Um, and again, with psychology, I just wanted to know how the mind worked. And that was mainly because I wanted to understand people. I wanted to
Yeah.
be able to like connect with people more, understand people, especially with conflict resolution. I really wanted to know how the mind worked to understand why some things upset people, why some
Yeah.
people seem so hard to please, or some people are just always angry. Some people,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
people just want to argue. Like, what is the best way to like literally engage with people? And so my thought was literally like, let me just go learn about the brain because that's
Yeah.
what everyone says um, is how we work. And so when I entered psychology um, as an undergrad, it was that as well as mental health as well. There's a lot of mental health stigma in Nigeria. So just going in psychology, I was hoping to somehow go into the mental health field, that
Yeah.
healthcare field to just help. Um, and so then I just found that as I'm learning about things and you're learning about how the brain develops, there is that like arch of malleability. So obviously your adolescence up until your young adulthood is really the time where your brain is the most malleable. Like as a child from 0 to 18 is the time where your brain is developing, is growing, and we say it's not until 25 that your brain is fully matured. And then basically, yeah, after 25, it's a lot harder for change to come. It's a lot harder for people to process new ideas.
Yeah.
Um, people's people just become a lot more inflexible, and that's culturally as well, but then it's also the backing of like science. um, your neurons, you're not really creating new passageways. And so it was in learning that journey of development where I was like, okay, I feel like if we're going to make any changes to be permanent, we need to start young.
Yeah.
We need to start within adolescence because prevention is often more effective, less costly than aftercare,
Yeah.
than trying to fix the problem after it's been created. So reinforcing systems that would help people just be stronger mentally, be able to give people skills earlier to avoid conflicts in the first place,
Yeah.
and such and such. And so then education just came in so naturally. I took some education courses that also put me into classrooms with kids. And then you just see in the ways from a psychology perspective, you just put yourself in an educator's shoes and you can see all the ways where it's like this teaching style makes sense.
Yeah.
This subject lesson makes sense. Things like social emotional learning in the classroom makes sense. I think also the way school is placed in our society as like such a huge authority. Everyone has to go to school. Like
Yeah.
it's a crime not to take your child to school. That's literally a place where it's a system that we there it's made to build our kids and their minds.
Yeah.
And so it's literally like we're a better place to inflict inflict sounds so menacing,
Yeah.
but
But
what better
yeah.
place to like impose the ideas we have on how the mind works
Yeah.
than in the space of education where we're talking to young kids and we can teach them in this space where they already have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm processing. Okay, but
Yeah.
then like, how did your own education? Because obviously you were
Mhm.
not educated in the regular fashion,
Mhm.
and you've been in a completely different
Mhm.
like educational system. So how has that like benefited to your thinking about this as well?
Yeah. Literally, it's my education system that's made me even fall in love with education because there's a big culture like worldwide of teachers being undervalued,
Mm.
schools being undervalued, public school systems are usually underfunded. Um, there are lots of systems where in the US there's like literally a school to prison pipeline where in underfunded schools
Yeah.
kids are often um, fall into like the juvenile system. But my education was completely different. I went to a private international school. I had a class size of like 24 kids.
Yeah.
And so I was just given so much attention, support, and care from like kindergarten through 12th grade. Um, I've literally never doubted my abilities, and that's like thanks to my teachers and my educators who were always actively made it clear that they're here for us, they believe in us. Whatever our goals are, like their job is to help us achieve our goals. So there's no reason why we should dream like um, smaller than our wildest dreams.
Yeah.
And then even the way the school was set up, it was very clear that our pathway was college. It was higher education.
Yeah.
So like from 10th grade, even before 10th grade, at like ninth grade, we were talking about college prep, what schools we wanted to go to. Like we had to think about our future. They started telling us early, like, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to be?
Yeah.
So they sparked these conversations and they nurtured those conversations. And then even just the opportunities I had, my school, they're really big on like extracurriculars. So I was in multiple sports. I was in band. I was in student council. This was attributed to like our really small class size, given our teacher population. A lot of teachers were able to support after school clubs, and you could participate in multiple clubs easily. Like schedules are really flexible. Like you could literally go to our guidance counselor and tell her what you want, and she'd be able to kind of build you a schedule and accommodate more things. So I was able to like travel for sports, travel for science clubs. It was really just, it was so much more than the education. It was all the opportunities that I saw. It was all the things I was able to do. I was able to take on so many leadership roles, so many community building roles that by the time I got to college, I think I'd already broken past that like shyness or fear. Like even when I dealt with imposter syndrome, I was still like confident in reaching out, asking for help, something I was already very confident in. I came from a school where I believed in the education system. I think a lot of kids sometimes go to college, and if you don't come from a good school, sometimes you don't believe in the system itself. So they're scared to ask for help. They don't really believe in like their administration. Not even the administration, but like the teaching staff themselves. But I didn't have that experience. So like literally whenever I had troubles, I was leaning on my professors. I was very open to like having relationships with my professors like I did in high school. And so I think even that as well, I would have so many conversations with professors when I was, again, from college into post-grad, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was talking a lot with professionals in my field. And so with that, I was just like looking back and then learning, going into education and then learning about the global reality of education, that a lot of people do not get an education like mine. And I was like, this is definitely a problem. I already knew I had a privileged education, but just seeing the stark disparities, or knowing that this is in general not at all even the reality for a lot of people. So it was just like, how do we fix this? How do we, as a whole, despite all the opportunities that were allotted to me being a private school, how do we shift the culture of like teaching and education where most classrooms like have this energy or that
how can we
mission?
replicate this for everyone?
Have this mission, because I think like it was just, again, from the moment I was really cognizant, which I would say like 16, from 16 till now, I can't talk about where I've been without talking about my school, like literally my high school and everything that it's given to me, like creatively, critical thinking wise. It's just set me up in a way where I'm just like, I feel very confident as a student. In my ability to learn, my ability to try hard things. So
yeah, that's actually really good. I've always thought that like education, like hearing it now in this scale, there are like some nuances that we don't get like in like Nigerian educational system. Like I don't think like the educational system here is made for critical like thinking. It just tell you to give them back, tell you what to do. So like it's interesting to see how like how big of a difference it is, the kind of education that you get. Because I would even say that like okay, I went to like good schools like by Nigerian standard, and then I have like literally have a 16-year-old cousin who is like private school in the UK. I'm 23, he's 16. We can have the same like conversations because he's actually like thinking. So like having a really, 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 really good education has become something that like I see is actually the line, the gap between like what did you how did you say it again? It's the gap between
it's the opportunity gap.
it's the opportunity gap between people because like wow. you can't even imagine what you can't like. You have to be able to imagine. If you can't imagine
Yeah.
blood, then like what? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then it just
So
goes into also like the again shit, just like future building.
yeah,
Because again, some of the schools, public schools, they don't promote education further than the high school,
mm.
the secondary school. Like they're not
Oh really?
prompting students. Like a lot of schools, and even some schools in the U.S., people feel like a high school diploma is like all
Good.
they need, and then they
Uh,
can go in to get jobs because they're not again the jobs they're
mm.
seeking are not the they're usually like labor jobs, labor oriented jobs where it's
Yeah,
like, why would I waste more time and money going into pursuing high level education?
yeah.
Let me just
Start
end
making
my
money.
thing
Yeah,
here. And like they're basically prompted to end their education early so they can start making money.
yeah,
Yeah. And that's usually prompted towards people in like lower income because it just
yeah,
makes more sense for them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bruh, bruh. Yeah, education is super important. Yeah. But like, what did you learn about like? I'm interested to hear about like what they teach about like society, how it's
Mm-hmm.
formed, all that kind of stuff. Cause me, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to understand my own balance, like
Yeah.
for my own self, like in society.
Yeah. Yeah. I think education, when I went education, it was from the psych background. And so a lot of what I was thinking about was, again, science wise, the way we could use the research that we know to inform education. But then you learn more about, like, when you add society to it, it's just a whole different layer.
Yeah,
Because that's when the nuance comes in. That's when like truth and honesty starts to really blur when you realize there are people who have stakes in who is educated and who
yeah.
is
Who's not?
not.
Yeah.
And so one of the classes I took when I decided to then pursue an education minor, because there were then some courses I had to take, was cultural inequities in education. And so basically, we just learn about how education itself is an institution,
Mhm.
and all institutions are affected by society. Not only they're affected by, but they're also a tool of society. They help mass produce and continue to perpetuate ideologies and ideas that we have. So I was in this class learning about white supremacy in education, sexism in education, and how basically these biases and these systems of oppression are using education actively as a
Yeah.
tool to keep
Interesting.
their foundation going.
Mhm.
So you learn about the way that biases can leave can be unchecked in classrooms because of the way classrooms are set up. You learn about the ways different types of schools being placed in different communities. So like I said, the schools where they don't prompt college education, these schools they don't really have a counselor that's um, talking to kids about college, about next steps. If they're talking to kids about next steps, it's usually going into the workforce directly. And again, that's usually for jobs that are um, working class jobs, like labor jobs. Those aren't jobs that are executive positions,
Mhm.
that are high ranking positions, that are like entrepreneurial positions, because those would require higher level education. So those are the types of schools you will see in more impoverished neighborhoods and black and brown neighborhoods, rather than in wealthier communities. You'll see these schools that prompt make your own learning, create your own future.
Mm.
They really place the student as a knowledge builder. Like
Yeah.
they motivate them in the sense that you can create knowledge, you have that power. But in other spaces, you're just a consumer of knowledge. Your
Yeah.
space in this school is just to learn what you have to be taught and just take that
Yeah.
content in to then produce value. So literally the way our education system is built and the type of schools we have available is built to kind of sustain this system we have, where there, especially again, the biggest oppression system being capitalism. Capitalism needs workers. It needs workers who are quote unquote unskilled.
Mm.
That unskilled labor again is usually tied to the level of education you get. If you only have a high school degree, some of the works you do are unskilled labor, and so that justifies the
How much
minimum
they can pay you?
wage.
Yeah.
And so again, if you are put in this space where you're only getting this education because you just quickly need to get a job to start making money because again you're
Mm.
impoverished,
Yeah.
and so it's actually much riskier for you to pursue higher level education, spend more
Yeah.
money in that field rather than just going straight in and start working.
Mm-hmm.
So capitalism needs that unskilled labor. Capitalism needs that people.
Yeah.
Capitalism needs people in
Yeah.
poverty. It requires poverty to keep
Because then,
going.
yeah, actually, because then if you think about it, like like everyone's opening more businesses, like
Yeah,
cafes. Like who's going to be
work
there? Who's
inside.
going to work
Yeah,
inside those cafes? Who's going to work inside those hotels? Who's going to work inside the like who's just going to do all
yeah,
of that? It's not someone that spent 5 years in school that's going
exactly.
to do that for you, right?
And not
Oh,
only
okay.
that, is someone who's willing to take a wage that's actually not what they deserve, so
Yeah.
that whoever is running the business can start making profit margins as
Yeah.
soon as possible. And so again, that's why that they some education schools strip that imagination and that sense of worth away from students,
Mm.
where they're not questioning, should I be getting paid more? Like, wait,
Mm.
I'm actually doing work that is so necessary. Like, my employer could not have this business without me,
Yeah.
but they make you feel like you're very
Yes, boo.
replaceable, that
Yeah.
someone else can come and take your place. And again,
Yeah.
that's the whole point, where you're building a whole population of people who are don't realize their worth or their potential,
Yeah.
or even their value inherently, through the work that they create. So
Yeah.
yeah, just the differences in education tied into society. Again, like I said, education is a place where it builds. It's often a microcosm of our society. When I was in college, a lot of my professors would say that most of protests, rallies, or things happen in college spaces, because college is usually like the forefront of any change or
Mm.
any type of cultural change, because this is literally a place where you're just coming to learn.
Learn, yeah.
People are just pursuing high level education. Like, you choose a field and you're kind of dedicating yourself to a
Learning it,
mastery
yeah.
of it. And so that's why you see a lot of college students are usually the first to know what's happening, the change that happened. They're
Mm.
usually the first because they're actively trying to discover
That's crazy because I think
truths.
it's the opposite. It's really like there's a very clear difference in like I guess radical societies and societies like the ones that we're
Yeah.
living in because there's no way that my campus was ever going to be ever going to be a turning point for any society. Whatever is happening, like whatever is happening on a
Mm-hmm.
grander scale can be reflected inside what's
Yeah.
happening there, and it's not good. Oh. That's
Yeah.
actually insane. Yeah, that's actually insane. So I cut you.
I think I'm wrapping up. I even forgot the question that we started with. I'm trying to circle back to make sure.
I think I asked you how your education, like
Yeah.
how your education has affected your thinking.
Yeah, so it's just like the way I've never taken a formal course of how to be a leader, how to, how to, but it's just in my education, like, I'm very confident in how I speak. I'm very confident in my
Yeah,
abilities to do a lot of things.
yeah,
And that's all the opportunities that I've been allotted in the educational spaces that I've been in. And the
yeah.
fact that I'm literally this old, I'm this
Oh,
old.
it's crazy.
Sorry, no, let me finish that. In relative, I'm literally like, I've been in school for like 16 years now. I'm about to go and pursue my master's for another 2 years. So I'm about to be in school for like 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be able to stay in school for 18 years with my future still at bay.
Yeah,
And that's because my parents are able to support that.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? A lot of kids, they have to get a job at like
yeah,
16. Some Nigerian kids have to get a job at 10.
yeah.
So they don't have
The
time to think
time,
about
yeah,
school. I'm literally been able to just be spend the last 18 years thinking about my future and be building that through education, because again, I want to my master's is even just the midway point of my education, because I want to be a professor.
yeah,
So I have to go back for my PhD. So even as an educator, like, the love and the passion I have for education and being able to wake up and actually want to be an educator is actually in itself a privilege, because again, some
yeah,
teachers are just pursuing teaching for as a job,
yeah,
as something that makes them money, but I
yeah,
genuinely have a passion for it. I want to be in this field to make the field better. So I'm even privileged to be able to like go to school for so long and not even worry about when will I get the education job, because I feel like,
yeah.
by God's grace, after all this learning, it has to come eventually. But I'm not worried about when the job will come. I'm actually just so invested in right now,
Yeah,
getting better, getting like more educated, so that when that job comes, like, it'll actually be a space where I can make change and not just have the job to have the job.
yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? How does like as a society like what do you think it would take to get to that? Like, how do you imagine like this is the life for the average like Nigerian, like, or for the
Yeah.
average. It's not even just Nigeria, because I think that's a worldwide
Yeah.
privilege. Because around the world, everywhere, like, I even recently found out there's like literally 5% of the human race that's like a college graduate. So it's
Yeah.
literally like a very specific experience. It's like, how do you see it like being like a thing that everyone gets to have the time
Mm.
to explore, to go and find out what they want to do with their lives so that they can make more impact
Mm.
there? Like, how do you see that? Is that a big question?
No, it's like, but honestly, it's like one step at a time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
also really big in social activism. That's why I feel like that's honestly what I think is my fire, is where the fire comes from in any
Mm.
of this. Where I have a strong belief that everyone deserves this,
Yeah.
and again, like we said, these oppressive systems like white supremacy and capitalism, they are fighting very hard to keep these systems in place,
Mm.
and so um in my eyes, this is kind of revolutionary work. And what you learn as a revolutionary is very quickly that you will not spare the fruits of
Of
your
your
labor.
labor.
You will not. So it's literally, I'm
Yeah.
one step in the marathon that like the race. So the most I can do is just not stand still, but keep the movement
Mm.
going. And so again with this, the way time works and the way the human mind conceptualizes time, and then obviously our lifespan in itself, yeah, the progress that has to be made to anywhere touch equity is, I'm not seeing it. I might see I might see it like in it's the school that I work at. I might see it maybe in the research that I'm able to do and
Yeah.
get published in the future. I might do it in, making knowledge, but then I don't know how long it will take for that knowledge to
So
disseminate.
actually,
How
yeah.
long will it take for that knowledge to become popular knowledge? How long will that knowledge
Yeah.
take to become knowledge that's then
Institutionalized.
institutionalized?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Oh.
it's big. And honestly, coming back home, I was volunteering at a local public primary school, and I've heard all the like public school stories from like friends, other Nigerian friends, like all that stuff. But I've mainly heard it in like secondary school terms.
Mm.
I think seeing it in a primary school system again, where the mind is just so vulnerable. Kids, they're like, it's like very much monkey say, monkey do with
Yeah.
kids. You can tell them what you want to tell them, but as an educator, they often tell you have to lead by example, because if you tell a kid something but you show them something else, they are going to go with what you show
To
them
them.
as opposed
Mm.
to what you tell them, because they're like, this is it's a
Yeah.
clear example. And so in these school systems, the lack of resources, the lack of patience, the lack of care, the infrastructure. You have teachers, one teacher in a classroom with 60 students. For context, like this, a stressed classroom at capacity in like a standard education system is like 20, 25
Mm.
kids for per one teacher. You have classrooms that have 60 children, like
Yeah.
60 adolescents to one educator. Like there is
There's
no
no way.
possible way that every child gets attention and care in that classroom. Literally, I was teaching one day, and it wasn't until I decided to do a lap around the classroom, because I was just standing in the front teaching.
Yeah.
I did a lap around the classroom. I saw a kid sleeping in the back. I would have never known. I literally was just, and then their kids sleeping in the back, their kids chatting. Um, it's just so much is happening, and then you're only one person. You only have so much energy,
Yeah.
and I was only volunteer teaching, so I would only come in to teach the English sections of the courses, because from primary school, it's you have one teacher for all subjects,
Mm.
so it's one teacher, 60 kids, 5 hours a day. She's teaching them all the subjects. I was only helping in the sense that I would come in and take over her English course. And literally, I would have the teachers would tell me that during the breaks that they took, they would just go to the office and sleep. Like they're
Bruh,
burnt
they're
out,
exhausted.
underpaid. Um, Even when I took a break, they had Christmas break, so I was off during then, and then I tried to come back again in January. The teachers were on strike. I had literally never heard of primary school teachers going
I
on
didn't know. I
strike.
did not know.
I was literally like, and they were just like, yeah, they just have. I called the teacher I was working with, because I came in one day and no one was there. And she was just like, yeah, they're on strike. They're just waiting to hear back from their union to know when to go back, and they don't know when they'll go back. And it was just so crazy because my first thought is like the kids. Like I think they'd
Yeah.
been on strike for 2 weeks at that point. So this is kids like 2, 3 weeks out of school. They can't afford this.
Yeah.
Like, I heard about the obviously very popular the university strikes in school, and
Yeah.
it's a big problem when university kids have to lose a semester. But
Yeah.
compared to
It's a terrible
a
problem.
primary school student having to lose a semester, that's just an inconvenience because that's time that if the brain is not active, like that's actively like it's such a precious time where they can't lose that education. Like we usually have spaces for knowledge acquisition, like ages 0 to 3 is the time for language acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
After that period is very hard to learn a new language. That's why you see a lot of like multilingual babies,
Yeah.
because again the brain, the neurons are literally firing, they're active, they're so open to learning. So literally deprivation of education at that time is harmful. Like that's why it's a crime to keep kids out of school, because
So
if you don't teach them young, they are literally kind of set up for failure. And so it was just looking at that space with all the knowledge that I had, I was so powerless. Because,
yeah.
like, what can you do when the infrastructure is not
No there.
there? When there's no AC in the classrooms? Like, there's barely even writing material. The textbooks are subpar, and the teachers express that, but the schools can't do anything about it because
There's a
there,
system.
yeah, there's a system, and you have these teachers who are at their wits end. And again, of course, I even talk about the corporal punishments that they like to use in
Yeah.
Nigerian schools. But the teachers would tell them they don't want to hit them, they don't want to hit them before they hit them. But when I first got into the classroom, I was like, that's such BS. Like, why are you even
But
saying that? But
yeah.
honestly, after like a month there, I was like, they actually don't want to hit you, but they're so tired and they
Mm-hmm.
don't know any other way. These teachers have no other avenue. Like no one's giving them any other sort of
Yeah.
training besides physical punishment on these kids to get them to behave and be in order. Um, Again, I just physically can't hit kids. Like besides my whole training of knowing that that's
Yeah.
not
That's
good.
not good.
Physically, I couldn't put my hands on a child, so I was resorting to just yelling a lot. I was stressing myself a lot. I remember the first week, like I got a sore throat. I was literally popping strepsils, but it was just like I see how if you're a teacher for like a decade and nothing is working besides hitting the kids, you're just going to keep hitting them without thinking about the long term negative consequences. Again, if you're not educated in education, then you're not
Mm-hmm.
even thinking about the long term consequences
Yeah.
of hitting a child that frequently, how it affects their self esteem, their self worth, how it affects their
What it
view.
even teaches them, to be
Yeah,
fair.
literally teaches them about violence in the classrooms. Because then another thing I witnessed was when the teacher would leave the classroom, the kids were so quick to pick up the cane themselves and hit each other.
Yeah.
And I was just like, the lack of empathy. 'Cause I'm just like, you guys have just been hit with this same cane, and you know the thing pains you.
It's like the oppressor,
Yeah,
the oppressed giving the choice will also
yeah,
become 9 out of 10 the oppressor. It's just like how people in secondary
yeah,
schools will watch their seniors bully them and hate it, and then can't wait till they are in SS3 so that they can do the exact same thing. Like
yeah.
it's actually insane. Were you able to get your class under control?
Yeah, eventually. I think it's funny enough is because I left for a while because I felt sick.
Oh,
I felt sick, so I left for a while. When I came back, they were all so happy to see me again. I was like, wow, I didn't even know you guys liked me, but they all rushed to hug me when I came back. And I think after that,
everyone became like,
they were a little more calmer. Still, definitely no way I could go teaching a lesson without outbursts or without having to like shout somewhat, but it
yeah,
definitely decreased. And I think it was just honestly gaining their trust and being like, I'm not paid.
yeah,
I'm not hitting you. I'm just here because I want you guys to learn. And I think, you guys can learn. And I'm putting in the efforts. There are some kids I did teaching with during my breaks because they came up to me by themselves and were like, they are having trouble reading. They don't know how to read well. They want to help. So these are like, bro, these are like 10-year-olds unprompted who are choosing to not go out and play during their breaks. They want to read.
yeah. And that's also probably because
Yeah,
of the energy that you give. And that's
yeah.
so nice.
And so it literally warmed my heart because I'm literally like, you see, there are so many kids in here who they want to learn.
Yeah,
But I can imagine by the time they get to secondary school,
They're really tired.
with knowing they're going to be so exhausted.
They're really
They're going
burnt
to
out.
want to just
What are you
leave
going
the
to
school
teach them again? They just
system.
want to get out, bro. Some of them will drop out. Some of them will like even like they hassle for them to get to school. Some of them don't want to go to school because
Yeah.
you know like they're on our road now,
Mm-hmm.
like the model secondary
Mm-hmm.
school. So literally like you just see them like trying to walking,
Yeah.
jumping inside
Oh, they be
class,
skipping class. They be skipping class.
and nobody will know because
There's there's
education
no way.
education is actually there's a reason why I think it's human rights at this
Yeah.
point.
I was even because again they would give me miscellaneous tasks as well as a volunteer. So at some point I was filing the registration for like I don't know what government thing they had. So I just had to do the registry for like all the students, and even the way they do the registry for some of these students they don't have their full information, and they were so like nonchalant about it. They're like, whatever's missing, just no,
Just
we
keep
don't know
going.
what. Just keep going. Just fill out what you can. And then again, like even just money wise, the school fees or even just the fees for their exams, they're no more than like 5K. But some of these students were
They can't
genuinely like
pay.
they can't pay.
They
They
can't
don't know
pay.
how to pay, and so it's just like again, how are you going to convince someone that can barely get to secondary school that college is really
Yeah, it's
important, is what
important.
they must do?
Yeah.
Um,
They can't pay, like they can't like this is what I'm thinking. It's like it's easy to have like all the privilege and then like have all the education and be like, why aren't there people passionate in these roles? Why aren't there people who want to learn history or psychology or sociology to actually think about how to build a working environment? And it's because literally
they'll come and kill
they
themselves
can't
trying
they
to do
can't they
it.
can't afford they can't even afford to think like that's a
Yeah.
dream. That's like if you say that to the man on the street who is having to fry akara so that his family members can eat, he's just going to be like, the fuck are you like on
Yeah.
about? Like what are you on about? What's sociology? What's history? But I feel like the one thing I feel like Nigeria could have like Nigerian system could have done is at least teach them, even if the history is weird, like you'd have taught every like there's no you know how I'm hearing how you're talking about how they're telling you that they believe in you. They're telling you that there's opportunities for you and stuff like that. Nobody is in those classrooms. Like
Yeah.
nobody is there telling anybody they believe in them or that they can do anything. Or they're just giving you your limitations. Most of the time in these classes, like they give you limitations before they give you. It's only when you prove yourself, quote unquote, to be an exceptional student. That's when you get like that's when you get that special treatment. That's when you get like, oh, you're going to go like somewhere. And like at the end, and like at the end of the day, like the system in itself, like
It's actually crazy.
how do you even? Because I keep thinking about this thing. Because I'll say that okay, me to have some sort of like I went to a good primary school. By good, I mean expensive now, and I went to like a good secondary school. I think my secondary school. I was thinking about it later, and like my secondary school is even what built at least like if you're learning to be a worker, learn how to be an exceptional worker. Do you understand? Like you're up there. That's what we're because I'm thinking like we just learned we're all really smart kids. It was a smart school for smart kids, but it's like okay, all you're being taught how to do is to reproduce. Like you're not really it's how best. Can I remember like the people who were so good or the people that could like give it back to them exactly. I remember when like teachers would prioritize, like she gave me even the examples that I gave her. It's like she's not even thinking about like
New
new examples.
examples.
And then like it was only two teachers I remember, like my chemistry teacher, three teachers, my chemistry teacher, my teacher teachers, and I think maybe my final physics teacher. Those were in my entire time in the school if I had not like participated in like sports activities or been in like other clubs that would have made me like that would have stimulated us because the school was really active. I feel like it's the same sort of like at bottom line foundation core is the same sort of education that all of us in Nigeria are getting. Like nobody is teaching you how to explore, be explorative. They're teaching you how to get safe options, go to school, become a doctor, become an engineer, or at the very least become anything professional so that you will not be poor, you will not be broke, you can feed yourself. The whole point of the educational system is to learn how to eat.
Yeah.
That's just what it is, not for like exploration. It doesn't matter how fancy your school is, so long as it's run by this Nigerian government, like that's all you're going to get. So yeah, I just like I even like admitting to myself as well that like my education is not everything I thought it was, and I have to now go out of my way to go and learn more to give myself what I should have had like growing up. And you're right, like there's stages in life where it's easier for you to actually digest and absorb. So it's harder to unlearn the older that you get. It doesn't matter how old. If you're lucky that you have an open mind, you're lucky. But like I started noticing this thing, like my parents and stuff, like it's almost like they're cementing themselves. It's like they've spent all the time like learning, like they've spent all the time like as they're getting older now, they're like, I've got made it up to this point, I must be right.
You
And
must.
it's done. And like that's it done. So now they're no longer they're not open anymore. They're now set. Like I've never like I've said noticing it and I'm thinking it's an age thing. I don't think it's like they're just trying to be this way type of thing.
It's definitely
I
age
think
wise. It's also definitely a big culture thing here.
true.
Nigerians, we have a big
True.
culture of already respecting your elders.
Yeah.
So as they get to that elderly state, they're like, yeah, it's not elderly state. It's not even there's nothing they can learn. There's like there's nothing anybody can teach you.
Yeah.
It's not like they're not open
like,
to learning.
you think like and they get so mad when you question them or when you like try to tell them that like no, that's not all that it is. There's more. I'm just like, and it makes me scared because I'm like, okay, so is this an age thing? Like, is there a point in time in my life where I will stop?
No, I think it's a cultural thing, and but it's also definitely something you're going to have to fight against. Like, it's a natural thing. If you've lived for so long, like, think about it. Like, my parents have lived 3 times longer than I have. So obviously, as someone in that position, you're going to be like, what do you know that I don't know? Like, what do you know that I have not seen? But again, it's this Nigerian culture that like perpetuates it and like solidifies it, like cements it to the ground. Because I have college professors who are also 3 times older than me, but literally they've chose a field where their job is to stay open. Their job is to keep listening to 20-year-olds. Because that 20-year-old might tell you something that literally blows the field, that opens up a new idea. You know what I'm saying? They're actively asking you, please tell me your ideas, please contradict me. And so that's honestly what gives me that hope that I would never get to that point, that I'll always be willing to like learn and always be willing to hear someone out. And if anything, I really love engaging in conversation. I love hearing other sides and really taking them in, because oftentimes it can leave me feeling like stronger in whatever I believe in. Like, if I'm able to genuinely get into a conversation and argue my beliefs, take contradictions, and then put forward new ideas, and I leave the conversation and I still have those beliefs, I'm holding on to them stronger because I'm like, I've defended it. This is like a thesis defense. Like, you know what I'm saying? Anything you're holding on to, I feel like it should be worth defending. It should be worth you able to talk about it in any space and take contradiction and then take that back, rework it, and then just grow.
And like, not even in like it's not like even in a confrontation.
Not at all.
It's just like in a I know this thing for sure.
That's why I really love the education space that I've been in, where it's just conversations, just always talking to people who are really knowledgeable. And again, because in education, sometimes people, again, in Nigeria, take this very personally. Like, sometimes, a lot of times, the topics we're speaking on, people are holding them as like personal things. In education, you're not supposed to hold anything personal. When you present a thesis, when you present an idea, you're not supposed to have any ties to it. Your whole point is that you're not trying to prove yourself right. You're just trying to prove that thing right with the evidence. If the evidence suggests otherwise, you have to throw your hands up in the air and be like, I was wrong. And you can't feel any 2 ways about it. In fact, proving yourself wrong is just as good as proving yourself right.
Yeah, because you know what it's not.
Exactly. Because you still found out information. And so, in being in that space where you're talking to people who aren't trying to prove a point,
because there's just punishments for when they were wrong. So it's like they have to be right.
Yeah.
So now you can see how the beating them now.
Yeah.
Can now multiply into something like that. Like, if they beat you because you got the answer wrong, you're going to do your best
to never
get it right again.
No, it'd be so crazy in class. I've literally seen, to your point, I've literally seen teachers insult students, like insult them. I mind you, is a 10-year-old. You are 50 insulting a 10-year-old.
They don't really realize it, I don't think. Like, when I left my secondary school and I came back on time and I started to look at them, I was like, you guys are actually right. Because like, you can see a 14-year-old, I'm like, this child, like, I understand how young that child is. Because like, once you're trapped in let me not say trapped, especially like boarding schools, like when you're inside the school, you become like everybody's fair game. Like, so everybody's looking fair game.
But yeah, I wanted to bring up the point of being able to be wrong. Is what I wanted to say, because again, a big part of my teaching philosophy in classrooms is that, again, error is part of the process of learning, and that's again in that space where you realize learning is like knowledge creation, like you can create your own knowledge. Because if students again fear being wrong, they don't want to make the wrong decision. You're just teaching them to be risk averse. You're teaching them to literally go the safest route,
Yeah.
to not question authority, because then there's a punishment involved.
Yeah.
And so I was literally telling the kids, like, I don't hit them because that's not what happens in real life. You know, if you
Yeah.
get an answer wrong, nobody's going to
Because
smack you.
yeah.
And it was funny enough because that was even one of the things I had to deal with getting into college. I was so scared to do or say the wrong things because I felt like there'll be a punishment involved. Bro, sometimes I literally went to a doctor's appointment and like for a second I would lie to the doctor because I don't know why I was so scared that I would say the wrong thing and she'd be like, leave my office. You're not getting this scared today. But literally like when you literally
Yeah.
learn as an adult that most times like if you do the wrong thing, they'll just correct you.
Yeah.
They won't take anything away from you. Like I'll be so scared that I'll say this wrong thing at a job opportunity and they'll literally take the job away from me. But that's not usually how things work. But when you again teach kids where they're so scared of being risk averse, that's why they go into cheating. When they're like, okay, there's
Yeah.
no way I can get it wrong. Let me just cheat. Let me just find out the answer
Yes. Why
beforehand.
they never think that that was directly proportional to
Yeah.
why people cheat, like, and why it's such a glory thing in
They won't
Nigeria.
come. They won't come to a teacher ask a question there because you ask the teacher the question, the teacher will look at you like you're stupid.
Stupid, yeah. And then they will encourage other people to laugh at you as well.
Yeah. So it's like it's shame embedded into our education system. I think that's what I'm saying. It reflects education, which reflects so equally into our society.
Mm-hmm.
I think being in a space in that primary education space, I literally was able to step outside every day again and just be like, I understand this country so much better. Like from literally the age of adolescence, you're being yelled at, you're being hit, or for your curiosity, or for your open-mindedness. They
Yeah,
literally
they beat
beat it, they
out
shame
of
it out
you.
of you to the point that when you get to that age, you're looking at anybody who has that same curiosity and you're looking at them like they must be so childish, they must be so
They will
ignorant
get over
to
it one
question, to
day.
think of another way to go against the grain. That's such a it's not seen as noble at
And
all.
then the people, I feel like we talked about this before, and then like the people who now manage, because the system is not built to make everybody like
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
extremely successful. Then the people who do think that they did it because of the system, like
Mm-hmm.
they don't see how they did it in spite
In
of the
spite
system.
of
Because my
yeah.
dad will tell you that like the system is created to make a genius out of anybody. I'm like, no. I'm like, why can't we make it a system where like everybody you are like we can teach people actually
Mm-hmm.
how to be like you. Like we
Yeah.
can teach people how to be this way. Like why do you think that like he's like if you give people the if you open people in a classroom and teach them how to succeed, some people will still fail. And I'm like, but we give more people like
Mm-hmm.
a fighting shot. Like we give
Yeah.
more people like I think like talking to you made me realize that something else that like I really like the reason why the podcast and everything is like to
Mm-hmm.
let people just know that like there's more than this thing
Yeah.
that they're seeing, like, and there's more than like because if you don't, I'm always complaining about the lack of imagination
Mm-hmm.
and the lack of vision. There was one book I read, and the guy was like, um, he was imagining like 2050 Nigeria, and it was still this. Fundamentally, it was still the
Mm-hmm.
same shit. I brought up my arguments. People around me were like, he was being realistic. He was being realistic. I'm like, but like that shows to me that if this person was given the opportunity, some people will say I was coming for his craft. Maybe that was his point. But like just from this angle, like for this
Mm-hmm.
person to like not imagine better,
Mm-hmm.
like even if it seemed unrealistic, like
Yeah.
for you to not actually like paint a picture, give yourself the dream that you
Mm.
want for the country, it's like
Yeah.
you can't even do it.
That's why I think again.
You can't even do it.
That's why I think that system is built to be oppressive because schools, education. When you think about any restrictive system, the first thing they go for is education. People ban books, they close libraries, they privatize education where this is the only information that's being printed. This is the only thing you get to know. You don't get to learn about this. You learn about this. It's literally because they understand the power of knowledge. Like
Mm.
the first thing you can do is really to mentally limit your opposer. Like if they don't know, if they don't even know that they're in a cage in the first place,
Yeah.
how would they know that they need to find the
Kind of,
key, they
yeah,
need
to
to
get out.
they need to get
But
out.
do you think like with the Nigerian system, like do you think that like do you think like there's still like Western influence in what is happening in Nigeria right now?
I think there definitely is. I think there are just so many hands inside the pot where it's like even the Western influence it has major players in our country. I think it, again, in the same way that during the transatlantic slave trade, it worked because in colonies where like the British weren't physically present, but they had emissaries, and they had emissaries with Nigerians, and those are the Nigerians who are profiting off of the transatlantic slave trade. So I think we have the same thing here, where a lot of our government officials are basically emissaries of this Western imperialism. They're benefiting off of it. They are profiting so heavily that they are fine doing it. So it's not like you're not seeing a white hand come down. You're seeing a Nigerian hand come down. And that's why it's hard to be like, that's how a lot of people are like, we were colonization finished 60 years ago. What's this still?
Yeah,
We can't still blame the white man. Because it's not really the white man is not here directly, but he's touching our.
But then you see, this is what I want to understand because like, if you don't take it back, like, how did the white man would have never been able to succeed, I guess, if not for those people that became like. So, what is it that about the system or the culture of the people that made it possible for them to be sold out?
Oh, it's not even so. It was literally kind of they had no choice. They literally like either you become the emissary or going to go to the next person's village. If the next person comes to the village, if the next person becomes emissary, you will become enslaved.
But imagine if like nobody agreed.
They didn't have communication like that. That was a village. That was a village you might have even been fighting with before they came.
Because I don't know which one comes first. Me, I'm trying to understand which one. I'm always trying to give. I don't want to blame because like my thing is just saying that like, oh, because I've been so mad at Nigerians. This is where you are. This is where we're actually where we are. Because I was on some sort of like thinking like better, more so, and then like being face to face, coming out and really like interacting with Nigerians. I'm like,
no, I find it. Yeah, I think it's maybe just as an educator, I find it very hard to blame anyone who is still a victim of the system. Like, because at the end of the day, if someone says, this is like someone coming to you and saying, is either your family or this family, and
yeah, you pick your family, right?
Yeah. And so again, that's why because it's such a big argument in a lot of places where they're like, but we sold each other. Like we did, it was a gun to our head, and they said either you sell somebody or someone will sell you, and that was literally the threat they made.
I try to imagine that human beings are so like that there could have been anybody, like maybe a particular race or people who like all of them would have just like imagine if everybody rejected them, but like just knowing so much about the human condition and humans like.
And the thing is, humans, we never had loyalty to other humans for the sake of being humans. That was never a thing. We've always been enclosed by shared cultures. You know what I'm saying? Like even before race was a thing, because race was a concept that came with the transatlantic slave trade. Before race was a thing, there were other things that were dividing us. Language, culture. You know what I'm saying? Like there were tribes already, and those tribes already, again, before white people came, we were fighting each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But we weren't enslaving each other. But they were literally, there were wars, we were fighting each other. So there's never actually been a point in human history where we're all aligned for the human race sake. That's never been a thing.
Yeah, that's never been a thing actually. So if it was not them, it would have been someone else.
It would have
like if it wasn't you and then you hope to be on
someone
top.
Else.
This actually even brings me to that Ubuntu thing because it's like it's an African philosophy, funny enough. Like I am because you are, so everyone is supposed to be for everybody. I'm here because you're here and all that stuff. But it's like, is that even possible? Realistically speaking.
I think it's possible again within like
smaller communities.
Within smaller communities. Communalism often happens when you're able to actually physically share space with someone. And I think, but funny enough, again, I'm still thinking about your point, how your dad was like, the system is built if you work hard enough, and they think that they've made it because of the system rather than despite it. I think even the same way, like with my parents, they're successful despite all the hardship that they go through. I think they will attribute a lot of their success to the hardship that they went to, but obviously they've gone all this way to make sure I don't experience that same hardships. And I feel like I've even been put in a situation where I've definitely received a better education than my parents, but then again with the system of thought they have, I still can't educate them, even though they poured so much money into educating me better than they ever received.
That's actually true.
And I still
giving you a better education, better life, but they can't still trust like they
that
still trust that like they've enabled you to make proper
decision.
choices.
Like if I do anything that they don't like, they'll not be like, is that education that was the so there's not a chance that I just learned something.
I'm dead.
So that's why even when I think of this whole Ubuntu thing, I'm
dead.
like, the only way we can actually achieve that is if we value everybody. It can't be a point where because you're older, you're not willing to hear what the younger person has to say. Then how can I pour into you?
Yeah. They always like to also form like you can. At least my dad likes to form like he can learn from you. But at the end of the day, he always wants to let you know that like whatever it is that you're learning.
I literally had a conversation with my dad that started with, "You can't teach me anything," and then halfway into the conversation, he'll be like, "But if you have something to say, tell me." I'm like this is a trick question.
How? Like how? So tell me how? No.
So yeah, that's why I'm also I'm just pointed towards the youth because again, with the culture, I love
how you say the youth.
With the culture and the nature of like the older folks in this generation, I genuinely feel like I would be wasting time, and if they don't want to
even with our age grade, like you'd have had to already been on that track.
Yeah,
some people change, but not a lot of people. No,
that's
people
why I'm
actually
literally trying to reach kids because I think also there's just like even an audacity that comes with just being young, where it's just like they don't know their limitations yet. And the thing is, again, a lot of these limitations are very actively imposed on them mentally. Like you don't dream ahead, you don't dream of a better Nigeria. The thought of dreaming seems as unrealistic. But and then again, that's the whole idea where they're trying to make you feel like these systems are unchangeable. But they're actually changeable. But it all starts with an idea. You have to be able to envision what that change will be and then pursue it. So they're literally cutting it off at the roots. There's no possibility for envisioning ideas. And then that's when you really guess when there's no other idea, when you can't envision another idea, you're like, this must be the way, this has to be the only way. And then oftentimes the like icing on the cake is when they now be able to be like, this must be the way because it's the right way. And that's how people think. A lot of ideas become naturalized. People think this is the natural way. It's the way we've just evolved because that's what life was supposed to be. God was supposed to be, and then bam, there's no changing it. But like everyone has power, and again, everyone has power of imagination. That's why the often things they'll try to stop is ideas and then collective thoughts, being able to speak to people literally in conversations like this. Because again, who has time to talk like this when you're working? Who has time to talk like this when you're fighting with your coworkers? When you don't want to talk to someone because they're from this tribe or from this religion or whatever. I think that's the Western spirit that still lives in Nigeria, that cultural divide. Because again, the carving of Nigeria and the carving of Africa, it was done so purposefully. It was done obviously for which resources the different European countries wanted, but it was also done to breed conflict. It was done so that in these spaces, these tribes, it was always infighting. Because it was in conflict that they were able to steal. If I'm fighting you and you're fighting me, you don't notice the arrow boy in the house. That's literally like, I keep on bringing the fact where it's like Nigeria and so many African countries are literally built with so much cultural diversity for the purpose of there will be fighting, that there will be, I don't like you because you're from this tribe, I don't like you because you're this religion. And I think that culture literally just continues to breed where there's so much like animosity against someone you don't know because of their cultural background. And that's one thing that I personally have a little faith in our youth for, especially in the more creative scene where we're constantly mixing and melding. And I don't care where you're from.
Like, it's not my problem. Like, I don't
care where you're from. But literally, like, if I tell my parents, "Oh, I just made a friend," the first thing they ask me is, "Where are they from?" I don't know. It's not that serious. Ask. Oh God. I just that doesn't. I can't dare tell my mother that does not matter to me.
No, like my mom asked me, "Where's your friend?" I've been friends with someone for 2 years, and sometimes the reason why I ask her to be like, "Let me know." Ask me, like I'll tell them because I don't like. It's not compulsory. What do you need to know it for? Like, what does it matter in the grand scheme of things, right? But for them, they've attached so much meaning to people's background, people's culture, people's religion, where it's just like, that's definitely Western. That's Western thought right there. So like, I don't know. the whole point of the podcast is basically how to be like yourself, how to become yourself and stuff like that. So like how, so basically like I think what we're coming to is like education is kind of important. But like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the advice now? Like we've all like, if we're mostly talking to people
Mm-hmm.
our age, right? Most of people are listening, so it's like, what can they do?
Um, I think it's finding like I think I think if you have a passion, I think it's educating yourself on it. Like my thing is I really love psychology, and so learning, as much as learning was hard, I was like so invigorated by the things that I learned.
Mm-hmm.
I would learn things and immediately want to share them and
Yeah,
be like, guys, you wouldn't
yeah.
you
Come
wouldn't
on here, what I
imagine.
just
Yeah. So I
yeah.
think literally whatever your passion is, I think seek mastery. Um and then my thing is again with who I am, a lot of what I want to do is make change and make the world a better place. And so, um, my I know Angela Davis. She was a yeah, she was a freedom fighter in the Black Panther movement, and so she came to speak at our school, and someone had basically asked her like how she sustained herself as a revolutionary, and she basically said like don't join the revolution because you feel pressured to find what you love to do, become really good at it, and then find how you can use whatever talent you have to then like aid the revolution,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think in whatever you want to do, like really find the seeds and the seed of your passion
Yeah.
and then nurture that. Um, again, I'm just really big on community. So I love psychology and I love community. So literally where does learning and community come together? It comes together in
Yeah.
the school. So I think with education, being able to just really sit and think, go into multiple layers of things, whatever field you're doing, search the history of it, find out the roots. I think that just helps guide you. Like, again, I love to know things because I feel like it just made me feel more grounded. It gave me a clearer vision of the world. Like, again, as a researcher, I love making an educated decision. It's like before I make a decision, I want to know what I can know
Yeah.
about the thing. And then so that I once I make a decision, I feel confident in it. And then I've just taken a lot of time as well to learn myself. I think for people becoming, that's really, really important. Like self discovery,
Yeah.
self education. I really know myself well, and I think all of this has just given me a really great ability to envision things. And so, like, literally on a day to day, it's a matter of I can ask myself, do I want to do this? And I can see myself doing it, and then I can literally reproduce the feeling, and before doing the thing I can know if I want to do it or not. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually how the brain works. Like your visual system, your imagination, we have such humans are so good at making connections and making ties to things that you don't have to actually physically experience something to know how
So
it will feel like.
yeah.
Like the fact that we can watch movies and cry even though we know it's not happening to us, that's the same ability for imagination that we have, where I can be like, someone can ask me, do I want to go to this? I'm like, describe it to me. By the time you describe it to me, I'll know whether I
Yeah.
want to do it or not.
Yeah.
But to do that, you have to have a baseline information. What do I
Yeah.
like? What
What
do
I
I
know
not
like.
like? What do I want? What I don't want? I feel like that's where you reach a lot of young people our age who don't know what they want. They don't know what they would like, what they wouldn't like. And so they're often trying a lot of things, which is good. Like part of education is trying, but there gets to a point where you're trying so many things and you don't know. But I think sometimes you just have to go back and sit and go to the roots. Like literally, am I a visual person? Am I an auditory person? Am I an introvert? Am I an extrovert? Like, do I like to talk about things? Do I like to write things down? Do I want to be a boss or do I actually want to be the employee?
Yeah.
Honestly, like things like that, where it's just finding out what you like and then figuring out
Yeah.
where you can take that.
Knowing your strengths and your
Yeah.
weaknesses as well.
So literally, again, that's where that honesty comes in. You have
Yeah.
to know what you can do, what you can't do, and then again, once you imagine something, and then you have that honesty. Oh, I want to do this, but honestly, I'm not good at that. Next step, you need to fix. You
So
need to
yeah.
fix that. You need to
Yeah.
fix that thing, and so it just gives you so much clarity. Like of just your future path. And again, as someone who's pursuing a long path in education, I've had to do a lot of thinking. Like I realized I wanted to be a professor my second year of college. So then at that point I already knew a PhD was in plan, but I was like, damn, I don't want to do school.
But like, if we want this, like,
yeah,
we have to do it, right?
I don't want to do school. But then I realized I wanted to do education. So I was like, oh, I can take some years off and go teach before I go back to school because I want to study education anyway. So it makes sense. So just plans that I've been able to make where I literally wake up every day and I think about that plan and it still makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like really reaffirming. Like the fact that I wake up every day and think about my plans and it still makes me feel good because I know my thing is I've gone so in tune where I'm like that imaginative process where my body, I feel like my body always knows. Like literally when I'm editing stuff for my magazine, I'll look at the spread and it literally will make me uncomfortable. Like physically, I get physical discomfort looking at something like I don't like right, yet. Yeah. And I'll literally like tweak it, and I can't describe it, but literally like once I like it, I can breathe again. Like I can. So I think literally getting that's learning, like getting so in tune with yourself, what you want, what you don't like, and then but that takes deep knowledge, that takes deep understanding. So like journaling, writing things down, but definitely part of it is trying new things. And being honest with yourself about how you actually like those experiences, because there's some things people tell you, oh, you should like this, you should like this. You don't have to like it. You don't have to do that.
You can also like things that people don't like.
You can like things people don't like. I think again, being able, just knowing in education, you know that every child is unique. Mm-hmm. Really, truly, you have to, as a teacher, you're kind of taught to try and meet every child where they're at, and cater to them, and just really give that to yourself. Like every person is unique. Like something that works for literally everybody might not work for you. You can try something new that no one has tried before, and you might succeed in it. So literally, don't stop yourself. Like free will is so vast in so many ways that I'm just like, you can try so many new things every day. I think that can be overwhelming. And again, it's a journey of um being more in tune with yourself. I think positive affirmations. Everybody should give themselves positive affirmations too as well. Again, I've been so blessed to just be in spaces where I've constantly been positively affirmed. But I can tell you, just like believe in yourself, like back yourself more than anything. That's compliment day. I don't people there's other spaces where I go into like where they're like no negative self talk. It's not allowed. In those spaces, not only for your well being, but for the well being of others, because it doesn't help anybody to be so negative and to be so down. Um, and that's even important as someone who is like fighting for social justice. It's so easy to just be like, bro, everyone's. I know. Honestly, even in a space like Nigeria, I realize the privilege is being just to be able to be happy and to be like, you're not going to bring me down because this does not matter. Clear out the noise.
Happiness is a struggle. I don't think you're saying the privilege. Even if it's still a struggle, it's a struggle to keep yourself on that level of like, okay, everything is alright.
I don't have to be angry, guys.
Everything's alright. Everything is all good.
Things that are in your control, like take control of them. And I think again, it's in that self-discovery that you learn what's in your control and what's not.
Not in your control.
Because some people can often underestimate what's in their control and leave so many things up to will when you have charge. Like that was completely in your
agency.
Yeah, that was completely in your control to have taken care of.
But that's the issue with God in this country. That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying. I'm starting to see. It's like that religion is another thing, but that's another.
That's a whole other hour
conversation. I was going to tell you we have like a freedom symbol section, but I feel like you just gave like I should have asked that question as the freedom symbol section is like where we like summarize. Not even just like summarize. Maybe you give your own like tips on how to be and become your own person, but you kind of did that, so you can just give us like a one. You can give us like a one, like. If you could consolidate, if you could give like a message, like
literally, I have it tattooed on me. It says "Change your mind," and that's just because again, I just really believe in the power of the mind and thought
Mm-hmm.
if what you can do starts and ends at what you think you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
true.
Never box yourself in to feel like because you've chosen a path, you've chosen a way, you've chosen a mindset that you must stick to that way.
Yeah.
Once something does not serve you, once you realize it's not good for you, you
Yeah.
have every right to change your mind, to change how you feel. Um, yeah, just be able to change your
Change your
mind.
mind. Yeah.
Mm.
There's this thing I feel like I've been quoting this thing all the time. It's like this 101 essays change where you think. There's
Mm.
this thing that she said, she's like, you you don't people think like you just change your beliefs, but no, you
Mm-mm.
have to go and make new experiences that
Mm-hmm.
would then change your beliefs. So like just go
100%.
outside and not literally outside, but just go and try new things and put yourself in different positions and have new
Yeah.
experiences and learn.
Just keep learning, never stop
Learn
learning,
while you're at
please.
it. Yeah.
Because the world keeps changing, so
Yeah.
have
What
to stay
is
up to date.
yeah. Okay. It was a good episode. Yeah. Did
Yeah,
you
thank
enjoy the
you. I
episode?
did. It
Yeah.
was a lot of rambling.
That's what we do on the
That
pod.
makes
Thank you
sense.
for coming. Thank you for being a guest. Maybe whenever you're back.
Mm-hmm.
And then another like
Definitely.
what they call it
But
update.
up-
Maybe next time we'll do religion
am
like
I a year into my master's program? That would be so fun.
yeah. Maybe you can actually come and give us tea.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah. So thank you for coming on.
Thank
And
you.
thank you guys for listening to the next one.
Bye.
Bye.